They say motherhood is a journey, but let's be honest, sometimes it feels more like a roller coaster with no seatbelt. I bet you're like me, wondering why babies, or teens in my case, don't come with instruction manuals. Welcome to This Incredible Mom Life, the podcast that celebrates the beautiful chaos, quiet wins, messy moments, and everyday miracles of being a mom. I'm your host, Dummy, wellness coach, mom of 3 boys, and a passionate believer that you don't have to live at the mercy of PMS, burnout, or exhaustion. Join me every week as we hear the craziest and most unbelievable mom stories. I'll be sharing the huge accomplishments and triumphs of both our moms and their kids. We'll giggle, cheer on the kids, and discuss obstacles and lessons learned along the way. If you are struggling to be the best mom you can be, how open-minded are you to booking a free call with me? You don't have to live at the mercy of your cycle, and you definitely don't have to do it alone. Give yourself permission to let me be part of your support system. I believe that you weren't meant to just survive motherhood. You were meant to thrive in it. Hello. We are starting off our 2026 guest series with something different here on This Incredible Mom Life. I have not one, but 2 supermom guests with me today. Shana and Vanessa are best friends, business partners, and master financial coaches who love talking about the B word. They help women who make good money but have nothing to show for it set up an automatic budget system that fits their real life and their big dreams so they can be bougie on a budget. Thank you, ladies, for taking time out of your day to join me today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here to talk about the B word.
Of course. I'm excited to hear about it.
Are you? No.
I think everyone needs help with that, including myself. So I hopefully will learn something new today. But first, we're going to start with a mom story. So whoever wants to tell their story, go for it.
A crazy mom story. So I think, what's really fun is, yes, thank you for having us. I'm Shana, she's Vanessa, as if you could tell the difference listening. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But when we started our business, I think about how crazy we were. We literally started our business on April Fool's Day, right on 2020 in the middle of a pandemic, worldwide pandemic. Great time to start.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, couldn't recommend 5 stars, 5 stars for sure. But what I really also think about is we didn't know what we were doing, as most entrepreneurs don't. And our kids were little. Our boys were 5, in sixth grade. And then so we had other more, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I just remember we would teach a fitness class in the morning, and literally we would have like 5 minutes to get them to school after that fitness class. We would throw them all in Vanessa's minivan, where you'd pull up and all the doors would be open.
Slide the door open.
Jump in, and like we have 5 kids and they're all piling in there. And then we'd have 5 minutes to get down to the school, drop them all off. They all went to the same school that year.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I think about like that was our crazy mom life. It wasn't just a story. That was every day, and it was like that. Like just trying to keep up with it, right?
Yeah, and I think our kids, it's so funny because they're young and malleable, and they're flexy, right? Yeah. So just them just rolling with it and jumping in the car and going back and forth. And if they forgot things, we had to run home, but they were there with us at the building where we were teaching these classes. And it was a fun time. And I think it was really good for them to see their moms working really hard to start this brand new business. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of lessons in there, not just for us, but for them as well.
Yeah. And I think it pays forward because, give or take, her kids would be there late, sometimes early. And, my kids, I think they had to get up at 6 to go with me to work, to then wait there and eat breakfast, to then go to school. And like Vanessa said, to start this new crazy business, which, by the way, Amy, is now funding all of their bougie sports and lifestyles that they want. Fast forward 5 years. But anyway, so I just think about that was how we were living our life. They were just along for the ride. Now maybe it's us that are along for the ride to their life. But I just think about
we've switched spots.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that you were able to start a business and that now funds their hobbies.
Yeah, really. For sure. It does.
All of them.
Yeah. So, we started our business, like I said, our boys were in sixth grade. They were starting sixth grade, and now they're in 11th grade. They are juniors. And then we also have, a bunch of girls that follow them, and they all have their, their unique things that they love.
Mhm.
And our business gets to fund those things.
Yeah, and they love watching us grow. Like the other day, we just updated our podcast art, right? So I showed my son. I said, "Okay, tell me what you think. We're going for classy and bougie, but I want to click on it." I'm giving him all these things, and he said, "Yes, yes, it's exactly what I'm getting from that." But it's just so fun because they're all involved and they've seen us evolve in the last 5 years with our business and watch us grow. And they ask us questions and they want to know what's going on and they want to see us succeed. And so it's been a really fun journey.
That's so fun. I did the same thing, well, similar. My oldest son designed my logo for my business. And the little one, the youngest, he's into music. So he did my podcast intro, which you will hear on this episode. So yeah, I love involving them in mine also. So that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah, and we love to have them involved. They've done lots of different things throughout the course of our business. As Vanessa said, we've definitely evolved our business to be what it is today. But now, I think about the reason that sounds crazy to me is our lives are literally the exact opposite. And I know that you speak to your audience about this because when we say we're just trying to keep up with them now, the boys are juniors. They've got a lot going on, whether it's SATs or basketball or music or pilot lessons or whatever they're doing. It's a lot. And that's just the one kid. And then we have the other ones. And our girls play volleyball. My other daughter plays gymnastics. They also are involved at church. They do all of these things.
Mhm.
And that life that we're talking about, where that's a thing of the past. They're like running in the car so that we can get them to their next
Mhm.
activity now. Not so. So we have flipped our work. We used to work way more for our
Mhm.
business.
Mhm.
And you do when you start a business. That's very normal. And now our business schedule is completely aligned to when they're in school, as we were
Yeah.
kind of talking about before we got on the
I
podcast.
remember having client coaching sessions while my entire family is having dinner, but that's the only time that
Mhm.
my clients could do it. So I'm in the bedroom or in my office, having this client session while everybody else is out there. And so I remember there was a point I was like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot be away from my family when they're all home. If I can do it when they're at work or my husband's at work or the kids are at school, that would be better. So we have, like Shana said, we have formed our business now to where we work when they're at school and yeah, there's some things here and there that pop up, but for the most part, we've really changed our schedule so that way we can be so intentional when we're at work and then also be
Yeah.
very present as mom life when they're playing sports and different things.
I love that. And I'm trying to do the same thing. So, um, yeah, we're right on the same page with that. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do as financial coaches.
Yeah, so it's good to give the context of how we started. So we when we say we started our business when the boys were in sixth grade, we actually met when they were four, and we've been best friends for a long time. Then I'm not going to date that. You can do the math, but we're getting younger, they're getting older. That's what I think. But right when we were starting our business and deciding exactly what we were going to do, we were teaching Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University,
Hmm.
which a lot of people have heard of. And what we realized in that class is that no one really teaches you how to budget. There's an expectation that and it's part of the whole process, but our clients or our students would come
Mhm.
in confused as to actually how to budget.
Yeah, so we actually extended the class by a whole extra week so that way they could come in, bring their budgets, and we can talk with them and explain it. And then once we went through their budgets, we realized, oh, nobody wants to live on beans and rice and try to scrape by and live on bare minimum to be able to get things done. And so we decided to come up with this concept much later on, but we still implemented, but we didn't know what it was. But it's this being bougie on a budget.
Yeah.
Meaning you can pay off debt and go on vacation. You can pay off debt and still go on date night, right? So there's so many different things that you can do when we want you to make a budget that you're excited about, that you love, that brings you joy. It doesn't feel like scarcity. And we say the B word because budgets is a very taboo word. The minute you hear it, people like the skin on their or the hair on their skin stands up and they're like, nope, I'm out. No, thank you. But we don't want that. We want to kind of change the vocabulary around that.
Nice. Um, yeah, I think budgeting is not easy.
Mhm.
Um,
even if you like, it sounds easy, right? List your income, list your expenses, and then subtract and see what you have left over. But I know there's other things that play into that. And so, and finances and budgeting is a big cause of stress, which is what I help moms with, is reducing stress. So talk about any tips you might have for moms who may have never done a budget, and like, where would they start? How would they get going?
Yeah. So, where we want to start is just letting you know it's okay that you don't know how to budget. We think that there's this expectation that you should know. And all we know maybe is a little bit about what you said, Amy. Like, I think I'm supposed to put my income and my expenses, but we know that that's just words and number on paper and it doesn't actually help you. So eventually we'll get to it. We've created a budget system because that's what you need. You need something that you can actually do with your hands, not words and number on paper. That doesn't really help. But the first part of it to us, when, like we said, we were teaching people how to budget, we realized nobody had ever taught them. That's where the real struggle was, is to simplify it. We wanted it to be as simple as possible. Mom words, right? We went out and looked at budgets and it would say very variable, fixed, like gross words that we didn't understand. We call them boy words. Maybe they're fine. But we didn't like that. So we made it very simple. You started it off right. Income minus your debt, minus your bills, not expenses, bills, because we all know we have to pay bills, minus your spending, and then your savings. Those are the 5 simple columns in our budget. It's a very simple budget.
Yeah, we really wanted it to be as easy to follow and understand as possible, and not in a mindset of like, oh, well, you can't understand this because you're not smart. That's not what it is. It's just your budget should be pretty. It should be airy. It should follow what you do during the month and what you do with your hands. And so you have income coming in, you have debt payments, you have bill payments, you spend money, and you save money. Like those are the 5 things that happen with your money throughout the month. That's how we laid out our budget. And it's very easy to understand. And so, and again, one page, one piece of paper. And we figured out if we put it on one piece of paper, it can't be scary. It's not hard. It's not long. Like we've seen people send in their budgets. We had like a bad budget podcast one time, and it was just, words and numbers on paper. And it's like, okay, now you did this, but what do you do? What do you do after that? And so we really wanted to make a full system that shows people how you can be successful with your money throughout the month.
Yeah, and the other thing is what people typically do is they're doing this like tracking stuff, and that's not budgeting. And then they're trying to, when you say needs versus wants or expenses, and it's like, but actually what you do is you spend money. Like the bills, those are a whole different thing. But then you go out and spend money on gas and groceries. You spend money at the restaurant. You spend money at Target or wherever you like to shop. That is what we really need to solve for, because these are different things that are getting you confused. So then like the next thing that we really started honing in on is to separate, right? Because a lot of times you will all have one account. And all of these things that we're talking about, your rent, your tuition payment, your utilities, the dog food, the going out to eat after the game, all of that is in one account, and you never really know what's happening with your money. You don't know where it's going. And so that we find that our people, they say, why do I make such good money, but I don't have nothing to show for it. I feel broke still. It's just because it's very disorganized.
Well, and they think they have an overspending problem, but the reality is that they have a disorganization problem. And there's the lack of clarity of what's happening with their money because everything is all cluttered in one account. So we really want to separate it out so you can see your money. This is for gas and groceries. This is for bills. This is for me, like to take a girlfriend out for lunch. This is money for my kids. Like if you can imagine seeing your money like that, separate and organized, you will naturally you'll naturally spend less. There's one. And then you won't have to track. Cause I want to go back to that really quick. Cause they think that tracking is budgeting. That is not. Like all of these budgeting apps that you have that's telling you what you did after the fact. That's not a budget. Okay. And so we want you to release yourself from that. I think that's one of the biggest aha moments we have when people do our budget and they think, I don't have to track anything. And we're like, no, each of those individual categories become their own mini budget, and you no longer have to track any of your expenses throughout the month, which allows them a lot of relief and allows them the freedom to spend.
Yeah. That's great. I like that you simplified it to one page, keep it easy, right? And I like that you allow families to still participate in activities that they would like to do that may not, that may have fees, and, you're buying sports equipment, you're traveling with a team, you're doing dance recitals, you're doing all these things. So how do you talk to those moms who have kids in all the activities and they still want to be, financially savvy.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, that's part of, this idea of savings buckets. So let's back up. First of all, when we say bougie on a budget, that's what you're talking about, Amy. And we do agree. This has evolved as we've evolved. When we first started our business, we were like, okay, how are we going to afford these kids going to school? And then now we are as bougie as it comes. Like we've got all the travel sports, we've got, their
The big birthday
big,
parties.
like we're not gonna hide, we're not hiding from it. We definitely stepped up our bouginess, but it wasn't just us. Our clients are like, I don't want to give up everything. I would
Mhm.
like to get out of debt. I'd like to do that. That's a good goal, but I'm not going to give up traveling with my kids while they're home with me. While I have the opportunity to go on and make these memories and do spring break. So
Yeah.
we get it. Everybody's bougie on a budget is a little different. But specifically for the sports moms, we love when we're talking about separate, we not only want you to separate and have separate spending account, we want separate savings buckets as separate savings accounts as well. And so for something like that, your first season might be a little rough. Hold on, let's just back up. Tell about your first meeting, your first aha moment with how much volleyball was going to cost.
Yeah, so my daughter's a little older than her daughter, so we stepped into it first, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not really sure how we're going to do this because it's not just the fees that you're paying for it. You're also having to pay for the food and the travel and the entrance fees and all of that. So
Yeah,
they're all separate. But I think,
you were
and
at
I tracked it all. So that very first year, I tracked exactly how much we spent everywhere where we went because I wanted to be better prepared for next year.
no, but tell them you were at the meeting and they were like, it'll be 4,000 or whatever it was. And that mom, remember the mom told you, oh no, go ahead and plan
Oh
for,
yeah, she
yeah.
said it's going to be like 10,000 after you get done with
Oh,
hotel
wow.
fees
Yeah.
and food
And
and
that,
everything. And I thought, oh,
oh,
I'm selling kidneys and
yeah.
we're donating plasma. That's what's happening.
So I think that that's a really good context for your moms because I know that happens to a lot of us. You get into it thinking, okay, they've given me this fee sheet. This is what I need to plan for. It's gonna be a lot, but I'm gonna make it happen. And then it just keeps adding on, and it's so much, and then that's when you start to get overwhelmed, and maybe you just throw it on debt. So the first year might be tough, but after that, that's where we want you to put that all, list it all out.
Hmm.
Again, like Vanessa said, it's not just the fees, it's the uniform, it's the gear, it's the coach gifts, it's the entrance fees, it's the parking fee, it's the hotel fee, it's the food, all of that. Just get it all out there. And that gives you your actual cost, which is very eye-opening
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
folks when they figure that out. Okay, so now that we know it's actually $10,000 a year, not 4,000, the sweet little price that we try to sell ourselves on this process,
Yeah.
then I need to go ahead and divide that theoretically by 12 and start setting aside monthly for it. That way, I will always have some money to
Mhm.
pull for all of these different things.
Yeah, so if you can think about, like I told you, I went ahead and looked at exactly how much we spent that year in it because I wanted to be better prepared for next year. So when Shayna said it's going to be rough the first year, that just means that in the moment you're going to need to be budgeting for this stuff. You need to know every month how much, how many times you're going out of town to do all these events. Once you can budget for it in the moment, after that, we want you to, like Shayna said, add it all up, figure out how much you need, and then the next year you're going to be saving monthly for this $10,000 travel sport.
Yeah. Yeah, and it might be $800 a month just so that you can afford to do everything in the moment the way that you want to do it. But what I would say for moms is, and we've done this with our clients, like I said, they don't usually know how much it is, and you really need to know that and see if you can afford it because I think that is where people get lost. So I had a client, they gave up they had a deer lease. Once we looked at everything, which for people listening, that means they're going to go hunting. Like they're leasing. I mean, maybe you all know.
Leasing property.
I didn't know. I was like, what? What are we doing? Anyway, but that was expensive. That was I think $5,000 or $10,000 a year that they did sort of as a family. I think more the boys did it than the girls. Anyway, they decided while their daughter was in the volleyball season, they were going to give that up because they had to look at the reality of whether they can afford
Mhm.
it. And I think that's the most important part. Instead of racking up debt and not knowing if we can afford it, let's see what the actual numbers are and let's plan to afford it. Or, have them kids do some fundraisers and let them help
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, our goal for you is to want you to have all this stuff in your budget. Like we want you to plan for all this. We want you to be able to do the deer lease and the travel sports and all that. However, if you can't do it in the moment, then you have to make some decisions. And we're not saying no, we're saying maybe no right now in this season, right?
Mhm.
Because we want you to like, what is your version of bougie? For them, that for them it was volleyball season for their daughter right now. But then after that, then they're going back to doing the deer lease. But if you can plan ahead for all of this stuff, then you know you're always going to have the cash to pay for it. You're always going to be able to have cash to get to pay for all these events and you won't have to go into debt because we don't want you to have to rely on debt. Right? Like we
Mhm.
know people are using it for credit card points. That's different when you can have the cash to immediately go pay for it. We don't want you to have to rely on a credit card because you don't have the cash to pay for the thing that you want to do.
Right. And that makes sense. Like you can do one thing in one season and the next thing in the next season. And yeah, that's very practical and it seems easy to manage once you get the hang of it, I think. All right. So is this part of your budgeting system?
Yeah. Like we said, we want you to simplify, right? So there's 5 columns on the budget. And if you take your income minus your debt, minus your bills, minus your spending, minus your savings, you're going to get to zero on purpose. But your savings are not some generic thing. They are on purpose, right? And then we want you to separate it. That's the next step is to have separate accounts so that it's kind of like cash envelopes. Maybe a lot of your listeners might remember like hearing about that, or maybe they use cash
Hmm.
envelopes. It's like that, but digital because you're allowed to have more than one checking account. It's actually, you're not 18 anymore. You can have a new system.
Yeah.
So then, but after you separate it, then we want you to automate it. And for these moms, this is like where I know every paycheck, certain amount of money is going into my gas and groceries account. So I know I can feed these fools, love them, but they're always hungry. Like every single day, they want
Hmm.
so much food. I know money's going into my volleyball account every paycheck, so I don't have to think about it. You can set all of it up on automatic recurring transfers.
Yep.
That way, like, look, I was at a gymnastics meet this weekend. She was at a volleyball tournament. We get it. You don't have time
Mhm.
to do all of this stuff. It can be done automatically.
Well, and our goal for you is for your budget to not be a roller coaster. We don't want it to feel like you're on a roller coaster. We want your budget to be as consistent and as automatic as possible, right? And so when you look at your budget and you go, okay, 90% of this stuff is pretty much the same. Your bills usually don't change a little bit, right? Your debt payments don't change, your gas, groceries, your regular spending throughout the month don't change. And if you can add up your savings buckets, like we talked about, planning ahead for all the things that you want to do, you know exactly how much you need to put in monthly to be able to make all of that happen throughout the year. 90% of your budget is pretty much done. So then you're really just maybe managing the small 10% of in the month things that happen. So maybe you have like a holiday festival or there's like tickets for the Sanger Theater down the street that you know what I mean that you want to go to for this year or something small. But other than that, our goal is to have everything separate, to have it automatic, and you can use your bank account to do this, right? So like your bank app that you're using, they already have the tools in there to be able to make it automatic for you.
That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
And you guys run a budget boot camp. So talk a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. So your listeners can go to budgetbesties.com/start
Mhm.
and they will be able to we have a 5 day, it's short, it's only 30 minutes, nothing too crazy, but they can go through and get in-depth details on exactly what we're talking about, and see us walk them through it, so that they can really learn this whole system that we're talking about, this simplify, this separate, and the automate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that something that's just on demand, right? They can just
Mhm.
sign up
Yeah, we
for it
do
and
it
they'll do it right
live.
away.
We just did it live.
Yeah, we do it live once a year at the end of the year. We actually, funnily enough, the biggest week that we have that we get the most interest is right after Christmas. Maybe it's not that funny. Maybe you're feeling that a little bit yourself. Like I wish that here's what we'll say. Right now, open up a separate savings account, call it Christmas, call it
Mhm.
whatever, whatever your version of that is, and start setting aside money
Mhm.
so that next Christmas feels really great.
Yeah.
And then you join us next Christmas, you can join us, but on demand, with that same boot camp, we put it on demand, and that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they want to go re-listen, because everything is, we have the replays there, they can go over to our podcast platform and look at the podcast starting on Monday, the December 29th, and they can go re-listen to it if they want.
Perfect. Oh, that's pretty cool. So how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so we have a podcast as well. It's called Financial Coaching for Women. All we talk about is budgets and financial coaching. We have stories with our clients. Our whole goal is to make this fun and not judgmental, and just have a different type of
Yeah.
money conversation. And so we'd love to have you join us there.
Yeah, we love to have a different take on it. So, like Shana said, jump over to our podcast and check it out. And then also the boot camp is our on-demand boot camp is a really great way to just really just understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, and just kind of walk you through that. So, like you said, that was budgetbesties.com/start.
Yep. And I will put all of those links down in the show notes, so it'll be easy for people to find you. This was so fun.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. I definitely know I need help with my budgeting. So maybe I'll go check out some of your resources there.
Well, here's the deal, just to close it out, Amy. Just like your life is more complicated as as your boys get older, as our kids got older, your money is more complicated too. And so we really just try to help you use the tools that we have, this modern era, to make it easier. Like I said, we're in it. We get it. Like we have basketball games tonight. Like we got volleyball practice. Like all of it's happening. We don't have time to be sitting in there tracking, wondering, hoping, wishing, guessing, all of these different things. You can set your budget up on automatic. You can feel really good about it. You can feel like I know where my money's going. It's going there on purpose. And by the way, my bank is acting as my personal assistant, doing it all for me. That's the whole thing. And so yes, we want that for all of the moms because like you said in the beginning, you don't need money to be a source of stress. There's enough other things in your life coming at you daily, trying to stress you out. Let's not have money be part of it.
Yeah. Can you imagine just being fully present on what's happening in the day-to-day life where money is not one of those stressors, right? It's not weighing you down. It's not a monkey on your back. Like it's just something that's happening in the background. It's as a resource and it's helping you be successful versus you feeling like you have to go manage it.
Yeah, that's amazing because you're using the tools that we have, right? There's so much technology out there to automate everything, and you're not stressing about it, which makes you healthier overall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was so fun. Thank you again, ladies, for joining me. And I will be back next week with another episode.
Thank you for having us.
Are you struggling to be the best mom you can be? Are you fatigued, overwhelmed, and stressed out? Are you losing precious time with your family because of PMS? If so, sign up for my free gift on how to start living in tune with your monthly cycle. The link to get it is in the show notes below. Use this guide to help you start to eliminate your symptoms of PMS, increase your energy, reduce stress, and fully enjoy this incredible mom life. The way I see it, you have 3 choices. You can try to figure it all out on your own. You can do nothing and stay where you are, or you can get the customized guidance you need to thrive as a mom. The choice is yours. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something from these stories. If you enjoyed this show, please make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast. It really helps this show grow. If you have a mom story you would like to share, click on the link in the description below on becoming a podcast guest. Remember, the content on this podcast is for general information only. It does not replace any medical advice given by your healthcare providers. Please check with your doctor if you have any questions about your specific condition and before starting any new diet or exercise regimen. Thank you, and you will hear from me soon.